This episode may contain content that could be distressing or objectionable to certain listeners. Please refer to the episode show notes for details. Discretion is advised. Hello, listeners. Welcome to Your Movie, My Movie with Dan and Steve.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Steve. This is a podcast where one of us picks a movie to watch and we discuss it together. In this episode, we'll be talking about one of my picks, the 1960 movie, The Time Machine, starring Rod Taylor, Yvette Mimieux, and Alan Young. Screenplay by David Duncan, based on the novel The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, and directed by George Pal. We will be talking about spoilers, so if you want to watch the movie first, now's the time to do so. But before we talk about the movie, Dan, who would you recommend this movie to?
Thanks for asking me that, Steve. I would recommend this movie to all the aspiring colonizers out there.
Oh, wow.
And the know-it-all dumbasses, as well as those with the insatiable desire for adventure.
Wow, you're coming out guns blazing on this one.
I am, but I added a little thing there at the end.
That's fair.
It's not all depressing.
Mm-hmm.
So, Steve,
yeah,
who would you recommend this movie to?
I would recommend this movie for those who want to watch Soylent Green meets Logan's Run before either of those movies were made.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've seen one of those movies.
The Eloy are people. They're people.
Eloy's is people.
It's okay. So Dan, you're the one coming out guns blazing on this one. Why don't you take the ball and run with it for this one?
I mean, just the main character, George. For as amazing an inventor as he is, as a brilliant inventor, as brilliant of an inventor as he is, he doesn't have a very good grasp on sociological workings, I feel like. And also doesn't have a really great sense of risk management.
Okay. Okay.
And he doesn't seem to be very experienced with the concept of experimenting.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a little bit headstrong, you might say.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a little bit bothered by that. But that's just me, probably. I mean, maybe not just me, but he just kind of made a time machine and then didn't test it out and just.
Well, he tested it. He made the model. He made the model. He made the model,
but it disappeared, and he didn't know if it. He didn't know what happened to it.
Well, he knew what happened to it.
No, he didn't.
His hypothesis was clearly correct when it disappeared. It disappeared into the future.
Yeah, but he didn't know that. He didn't confirm that. He didn't verify it.
Well, what do you want him to do, Daniel? Would this movie have been better if he trained a dog and made a time machine, like a dog-sized time machine? Oh my god. Yes. That's a movie I want now.
That would be better.
where he gets like a Jack Russell Terrier and makes a little time machine for him. And then, he goes off into the future and then he meets these other pets. So it's like Homeward Bound, but, because he's a smart dog from the Victorian era, he knows what to do. But we'll do it Benji style where there's no voices.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And they'll just know because they're animals.
I just started watching the movie Strays. Have you seen the trailer for that?
No.
Oh.
Wait, is that animated movie?
No, actually, that's what's interesting about it. But
okay.
It's like a Will Ferrell, Jamie Foxx, it's like a star-studded voiceover cast.
Okay. But it's live action.
It's live action dogs.
Okay.
And they do the thing where they actually have trained dogs do the acting kind of thing, and they, animate their mouths moving. And it's like a raunchy comedy, but that's just what it reminds me
I don't like it when the animals talk like people do. I don't like that at all.
Well, it's a comedy movie, and it's
it's very uncanny valley for me.
Well, yeah, but that's fine because it's a comedy movie. Anyway.
I suppose so.
And in this case, I think it works well because it's pretty ironic.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a good movie. I haven't finished it yet. It's probably not a good movie, but it's kind of fun.
Okay.
That should tell you what my sense of humor is, which is pretty garbage.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Yes,
he should have put a self timer on there, a freaking egg timer, so it would come back to the present at least.
But the movie was still, drawing out the suspense of whether it actually worked or not until he did it himself. Because he's a daring kind of guy, Dan. Yeah. Don't you get it?
He's got a death wish is what he got. He literally said, wow, 1,000,000 years from now, this could be in a mountain. We could just be in a mountain. Yes. He doesn't know how it works.
Yeah.
How is the time machine just going to appear in a mountain? Is it going to die? What? Apparently not. Apparently the mountain.
Well, he got very lucky. He got very lucky through this movie. Yes.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. He was so reckless and stupid that it bothered me.
But if any of that happened, then there wouldn't be any more movie. So
I'm just
okay.
I wanted a little bit more thoughtfulness.
I
don't know.
Okay. So what about the colonizing?
That's I don't know if it's actually colonizing, but it reminds me of Star Trek and the Prime Directive, don't intervene that much. And he just intervenes and completely commits a genocide. And yeah, they were, basically enslaving other people, but
oh man, you would love the Stargate TV show. Have you seen that meme?
No, I don't know what meme you're talking about.
It's a meme that compares. I
think so.
Okay, yeah, it compares Star Trek and Stargate, and Star Trek is we have the Prime Directive, so we should not interfere in their cultures at all. And then it shows the Stargate crew, It shows the Stargate crew, and they're like, your gods are false, and here are weapons with which you can fight them.
It's exactly I don't know. It's an interesting moral thing. He frees them, but also he's I am basically God to these people. Yes. Because he's I will show them civilization. I think it's a pretty telling when he says these people were the people of Bali from my generation, from my world. It's he just thinks that everyone who isn't English and living in 1900 is savages and barbarians, and that they should be assimilated into English culture.
Okay.
And I'm sure he would be teaching them tea time in 10 years.
Well, tea time's important. Do you know how important tea time is to the British?
Are you going to tell the James Cameron tea time story?
No. Well, no. But we don't have time for that. But tea time is so important that they started, after World War II, they started putting dedicated kettles that they could use to make tea inside the tanks. Because they didn't want their British soldiers to go outside and make tea when it was tea time.
Oh my gosh. That's so weird.
Okay, it gets even better because there's, I forget the show. It might have been Coronation Street, but I could be wrong. And They say like everybody in England watches that show, right?
Okay.
So there's a guy at the power station, and what he does is he watches the show, and he knows that like as soon as that show's finished, he ups the power. He ups the power on the power station because you know that that's when everybody in England is going to start making tea with their electric kettles.
Oh my gosh, that's insane. There's no way that it's just a guy with a knob. There's no way.
I read on the internet, so it's got to be true, Dan. It's got to be true.
That would be honestly kind of sweet. You know, like it feels like homey almost.
I mean, hey, man, you know, that's a job. You know, that's his job. So, yeah.
We should get AI to replace.
No.
I'm just kidding.
AI can't tell, man. AI can't tell that.
Anyways, I'm sorry, that was a bad joke.
You're fine.
What did that reminded me of though? Oh my gosh, I just had it. Ugh.
AI.
No,
Carnage
before
and
that.
Power outage. American British soldiers.
Yes. It reminded me of Slaughterhouse-Five, the Kurt Vonnegut book.
Okay.
Basically they're like prisoners of war. I think this is right. I only read it once and it's been a little while. But basically, all like the Englishmen, they're like a bunch of Englishmen get captured and they're like the last to get captured or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And all the Americans are like emaciated and starving or whatever. And all the Englishmen are like, we must shave every day and do our exercise and have our tea. No matter our circumstances or place, you know, it's just like, just fuck off.
Well, they got that stiff upper lip, man. They got that stiff upper lip. They gotta live up to that reputation.
I'm just being, you know, I'm not that critical of it. You know, it's whatever. But it did annoy me in this movie, just the arrogance that he has.
Okay.
It really bothered me. I'm just going to go to the future and find myself a woman and...
Well, he didn't go to the future to find himself a woman.
Yeah, but, you know...
It just happened to pan out that way.
He just doesn't think of the consequences at all during this entire movie.
Well...
You know?
Well, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
But Steve, I also want to know why you picked this movie.
Okay. So this is my New Year's pick. So so when we started this, you know, and I wanted to do the holiday bit, you know, you were kind of hesitant to do so. And, you know, there's there's Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then New Year's. And I definitely wanted to do New Year's last time. So we could, you know, have an excuse to watch Stranger Days and to kind of put you on the spot. So I did that, and now I have to keep on with the bit. So, for this holiday, it's going to be a struggle from here on out. I literally just go online and look at a list of movies that take place around New Year's, and I happen to pick this one.
I'm still so mad that I wasted Snowpiercer on Christmas instead of New Year's. That's going to be a lifelong regret for me.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. You should carry that burden in your heart for the rest of your life, Daniel. You really should.
I think if I do it again next year, it's going to be, you know, again, more spiritually.
Okay.
Spiritually New Year's. Well, actually, I have to pick this year, and it's going to be more spiritually New Year's than actually literally New Year's.
That's fair.
It'll be fine.
That's fair.
Who cares?
Yeah. So, and yeah, I was going to pick a different movie, but that was, you know, I would have said it was more spiritually New Year's, but that wouldn't be the truth. I would have picked that movie because I got in a fight with some Reddit mods and I just wanted to use the show as a, you know, vent for it and just shout my pettiness out to the listeners so they can appreciate that.
You can still do that if you want.
Maybe at a later date.
Okay.
At a later date.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, we'll still cover that movie in the themes and issues.
Okay.
But I probably won't mention the Reddit mods about that. So
Okay.
So yeah, I just saw this list and I was like, of all the potential ones, I know about this one the most. I saw this one when I was a kid, and my parents really enjoy it too. So, and you didn't see it, so
No, I haven't seen it before.
yeah, and classic filmmaking.
Yeah.
I mean, God, they don't make movies like this anymore.
They do not.
Not even talking about like the screenwriting or whatever, but like just the production of it. They don't make movies like this anymore.
No.
So
Miniatures, the set design.
Yeah, miniature effects.
The lighting.
The stop motion.
Yeah.
Stop motion effects.
I'm trying to remember what stop motion was.
Like the flowers opening and closing. Yeah. There was that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was amazed. My most impressive as far as the special effects side.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the right word? Yeah, special effects.
Uh-huh.
Was the lava.
Okay.
Like going through the town.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, how did they get the lava to look like that? Because it's not real lava.
No. And it's miniatures,
Yeah.
But they built a miniature set and yeah.
I mean, I could tell that it was miniatures, but I had no idea how they made the lava look so much like lava.
Yeah.
I was amazed by that. It was highly impressive.
That's a forgotten art, I'm sure.
It totally is.
Yeah. Like people know how to do that, I'm sure, but they don't have the experience to do it well.
Yeah.
So now we got CGI nowadays. So
I'm sure it can be relearned eventually.
Maybe. Well, they'd say it's cheaper to do it CGI,
Yeah.
You'd have to want to spend the money for miniatures. And then they need the practice and experience to get it to look right, which there isn't anymore. So
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
The future is maybe hopefully long.
Well, maybe that's one of the books he took with him. Movie effects, prior to the millennium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, can I ask what 3 books would you take?
Well,
you have to explain it probably first. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of stepped on that a bit. That was my fault.
No, you're good.
Okay. So yeah, that's why I picked this. I have a bit of history with it. And yeah, it's set in New Year. So let's briefly talk about the plot. So yeah, it starts on January 5th, 1900.
Well, it starts on New Year's Eve.
No, because it's a flashback.
Oh, right.
Yeah, this movie is entirely flashback.
Oh, yeah.
If you think about it. So,
regular Pulp Fiction.
Well, not quite.
I haven't seen Pulp Fiction.
I would love to do a version of the Time Machine and the style of Pulp Fiction, where you just go back and forth, and Morlocks are like, do you know what they call Eloy in Amsterdam?
I haven't seen Pulp
Eloy
Fiction.
with cheese. I don't know. Okay. Oh, God damn it. God damn it. God damn you.
I know.
Okay. So yes, it takes place. It starts on January 5th, 1900, Victorian England, and there are. So it starts out outside, and we see Philby's department store, and we see what's his name?
David
Philby. Okay.
Philby.
Yeah, David Philby, played by Alan Young, who. Okay. He's considered the Charlie Chaplin of television.
Interesting.
Because, let's see. Let me go back to it. Alan Young played Wilbur on Mr. Ed.
Okay.
Do you know Mr. Ed?
The Talking Horse?
Yeah.
I haven't seen a full episode, but I know of it.
Okay. So he played Wilbur in that.
Okay.
He was also the original voice actor for Scrooge McDuck.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
For 40 years.
Oh, wow.
And he uses that Scottish accent in this movie.
It's great. It's
if you go back and listen to it, think, oh, this is Scrooge McDuck.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
So anyway, Philby crosses the street from his apartment store to go to George's house.
Mm-hmm.
So in the book, the novel, The Time Machine, they never say what his name is. So they usually just call him the Traveler.
Okay.
But in a lot of movies based on this book, they basically say that he's H.G. Wells.
Oh.
And the G is he's, what is it? Hubert George? Where's it? Oh God, I gotta get this right. Preparation. Herbert George Wells. Hmm. So they basically say that the Traveler is him, and that's why he's called George.
Okay.
In this movie. And he joins 3 other very, very old, wealthy white dudes.
Yes.
And they're waiting for George to show up for dinner because he invited them there before, but he's not there, so he's late, and they're kind of miffed.
Very miffed.
But he gave instructions to start without him. So just as they start, he bursts into the door with his clothes all ripped up and bloody and dirty, and he obviously had an adventure. And it's funny because he sits down, and there's one guy who hands him a drink, mm-hmm. and then he's like so upset at seeing George that way that he pours a drink for himself.
Yes. The beginning is very funny. Very funny.
Yeah. And then George, does the flashback. Mm-hmm. They ask, what happened to you? What happened to you? And he's like, well, here's what happened to me. Let's start at the part that you were all here before. So he's basically telling them things they already knew because they're already there, because they go back to New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, 1899. Mm-hmm. And, they're having a little get together before the New Year's. And that's when he shows them the scale model of his time machine. Mm-hmm. And, we get that wonderful explanation of the different dimensions.
I was like Nolan level of explaining. Hello, stupid audience.
Well, it was 1960,
Yeah, but I feel like the concept of time machines didn't have to be explained that thoroughly in 1960.
Not time machines, but like dimensions,
Okay.
So.
I mean, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But people don't even actually believe that. Oh, anyway, people don't believe that time is the 4th dimension anymore, I think.
They don't?
That's what I heard, but, you never know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that time is another dimension.
I don't know, man. Disinformation, the internet. I'm stupid. Don't worry about it. Okay. Well, it's when you get to like 5 and 6 and 7th dimensions that it's like, what? So I saw a really cool thing. It's about a Klein bottle. Okay, what's a Klein bottle?
A Klein bottle is a 4th dimensional Mobius strip.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Cool.
And the thing is like it never connects to itself, but it kind of looks like it does. But because it's in the 4th dimension, it doesn't.
Mm.
And so I saw this YouTube video, and it's like the only way that our 3-dimensional brains could see or, conceptualize a Klein bottle is if we cut it up, but we use time. And that's how it showed the different segments. Like you can't show all of it in the 3rd dimension, but you can show it like through the scope of time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a little mind-bendy.
Sounds cool.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure if I actually studied math, I would be nearly impressed. But I guess math majors love get more girls and or the badly written shows.
So, are they what?
Badly written shows. Yeah. Well, I don't know if Gilmore Girls is badly written. That's not fair.
Gilmore Girls?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not that bad.
Okay. Well, how about Grey's Anatomy?
I don't know.
I pick on Grey's Anatomy a lot, so
I don't know enough about it. I think the first seasons are probably good.
okay.
I don't know.
I'll probably cut all this out.
No, that's fine.
Okay. No, I don't want to. I don't want to
cut it.
Okay.
Cut it. Steve!
So anyway, yeah. I think the audience needs to know that have a little primer on the dimensions. And then and so he built the scale model of his time machine, and then he takes a guy's cigar and sets it in there like a little person. I think that's the only brown thing in this movie. It's the cigar.
What a weird thing to notice.
Well, it's so white back then.
Oh.
It gets way white in the future.
It gets so much whiter. Holy shit.
But we'll get there. Oh,
spoiler alert, the future is white and fascist. Totalitarian or whatever.
Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. There's a lot to unpack about that. Like, okay. Yeah. And so he sets a model time machine to go off, and it just disappears. And he's like, yeah, it worked. It went into the future. That's why it disappeared. And then the one guy's like, no, it just disappeared.
Which he has a great point, because he has no idea where it actually went. Mm-hmm. Which is one of my problems with the movie. It's like,
okay,
that's not the scientific method.
Yeah, but to be fair, this movie is 100 minutes long?
Yeah.
Come on, It isn't.
I get it. I get it.
How much time do you want to dedicate that in the movie? This movie is well paced. Yeah. It chugs along.
Yeah.
Fast enough to where, well, I mean, not for you, but if most people stop to think about it, they say, "What the hell?" But yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're fine. I'm sorry. Okay, so they're all like, "You're crazy. This is preposterous," all that, and they leave. But Philby stays around.
Yes.
And, oh my God, Philby is the heart of this movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see.
Am I wrong, or is there some tension between...
Oh, you think so?
I could be wrong. Maybe I just read into things like that.
I mean, I don't know.
It's definitely a bromance.
It's definitely, homosocial behavior between two men. Yeah.
Whatever. I'm sorry. They're good friends.
Well, Philby's just so sweet. But I mean,
Philby's a sweetheart.
That's Rod Taylor. Like, Rod Taylor plays George, and he's a heartthrob.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is like, I think this is a British movie, but Alan Young, he's Canadian.
Ah, okay.
And Rod Taylor, he's from Australia.
Huh.
Yeah, like he was an Australian model, and it fucking shows. It'll be so my heart, Rod.
It's weird because when I was watching him in this movie, I was just like picturing him as an old man.
Really?
Yeah, imagining his features becoming older was just really interesting to me. I don't know why.
Well, he was in The Inglourious Bastards as Winston Churchill, apparently.
Huh.
That was his last on-screen performance.
It's been a long time since I've seen that movie.
I've only seen that movie once, and I don't want to watch it again. So,
okay,
yeah.
Why?
I don't. The last Quentin Tarantino movie I enjoyed was Kill Bill. Unequivocally enjoyed was Kill Bill.
I do like the Kill Bills, and
I do like the movies he did before that, but not after. I think he's been very indulgent ever since Inglourious Bastards. Although I have not seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I saw it.
Okay, the last Tarantino movie I saw was The Hateful Eight, which I saw in the theater.
And didn't enjoy it?
It's very, very indulgent.
I haven't seen it. So.
And Tarantino does things on set that, because of his creative vision, that I don't agree with.
He's such a mixed bag for me.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be the billionth podcast to talk about him for too long.
Yeah, like the worst thing was
what he did to Uma Thurman?
Yeah, with driving the car. Like that was the worst. But on Hateful Eight, he got like this
the guitar?
The guitar.
Well, I heard that was an accident.
It was an accident, but you don't need that on set. Just get a fucking replica, because nobody fucking cares anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just get a fucking replica.
Yeah.
So
we're talking about this scene where Kurt Russell smashes a priceless, one-of-a-kind, historical, I think Martin or Gibson guitar.
I don't know.
Potentially by accident.
Yeah.
When he was supposed to smash a cheap replica.
Yeah. Yeah. It should never have been on set anyway, because accidents happen on set.
Yeah.
And insurance is not enough for things like that, is my opinion. So
yeah.
Anyway, where were we? Rod Taylor.
We were talking about their relationship. And,
and
how he stays behind.
Yeah.
After the other snobs leave.
Yeah. So, let's see.
He stays behind and is like, "Hey, my friend, you've been acting strangely lately. Yeah. What's going on? Are you okay? Do you want to come over and have dinner with my family? You seem really weird and kind of like disassociated and lonely, a type almost. Not yourself."
Yeah.
He's a concerned friend, being a good friend. And George appreciates it, but is like, "No, I'm okay."
Yeah.
And
I want to see the new year in alone.
Yeah. And David's like, "Promise me you won't leave the house." And George says, "I promise I won't step foot through that door."
Yes.
Or I won't go through the door.
Yes, because his time machine only travels through time, but not space. So
kind of like Free Jack.
Yes.
See, okay, that's what I appreciate about Free Jack, is that they were like, they had a cool machine that went up as far as the y-axis in the third dimension to the exact location of the race car. I love that.
Yeah.
But this movie was just like, yeah, maybe he'll go into a mountain. I don't care.
Well, I mean,
I know it doesn't matter that much. It's just, I don't,
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's okay. Your point is valid. It's a valid criticism.
It's not that valid.
I mean,
I still had a good time.
Okay. So before that, the one guy, Mr. Grumpy, we'll call him. Just call him Mr. Grumpy.
Okay.
A man after my own heart. He's like, what's the practical and commercial possibilities of a time machine? And he talks about the war in South Africa going on. And that's a reference to the Second Boer War, which was being fought. And Winston Churchill, as a young man, he fought in the Second Boer War. And he wrote a letter to his mother saying, "You know what? I'm not afraid of dying in the war at all, because I know that I have such a destined future ahead of me in history that there's no way I could possibly die at this point in my life."
Oh my gosh. That's like those people that believe that they're the greats of history or whatever. So they like think they can just kill people.
Well, yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, it's not like Winston Churchill was a serial killer, No,
just a mass murder. I'm just kidding.
But, he did it from a position in government, I mean.
I don't know enough about Winston Churchill to talk him accurately.
Okay.
And he might have done some good things for the world. So I have no idea. Yeah. I just know people have mixed feelings about him.
Yeah, there are very mixed feelings about Winston Churchill, which I think is justified. Fair. But I mean, he's kind of right though. He survived, and
that's fair.
But he also put himself in positions where he could be of historical importance too. One could say so. Like, it didn't just happen by accident. He worked for it. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But he also paid, prices for it. So.
And who knows what kind of shortcuts or,
Yeah.
leg ups he got.
Well,
anyways.
I mean, he was a nobleman. Like he's like the Lord of Marlborough. Yeah. So.
See, I don't know anything, so don't listen.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, you know something, so it's okay.
But anyways.
Yeah.
The Mr. Grumpy.
Yeah.
He's like.
Yeah, he's like, I could get you in touch with the War Office so that you could invent like good things for war. And George is like, nah, fuck that.
I thought he was like, you know what this could be used as? A weapon.
Oh, yeah.
This could be really profitable to you, George.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, at first he thought it was a clock. It's like the Navy needs a good clock. The Army needs a good clock.
I have to talk a little bit about the comedy in this first scene.
Okay.
Because it just made it tickled. Like the first time I noticed it was just like the awkwardness of the beginning. Like there's nothing is spoken until like there's just a long time where nothing is being said and it's kind of awkwardly moving. And then the first like sound that we really hear is David Philby?
Yeah, Philby.
Sitting down in the chair and it like squeaks.
Oh yeah.
And he like looks around and like, oh, sorry guys.
Well, I thought that would be like a setup, for something occurring like every time he sits down, there's a squeak or something. But yeah, I guess, it was for like, breaking the solemn silence, that stuffy people from the Victorian era are used to and should expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to talk about the next funny part.
Okay.
There's another funny part whenever, because there's clocks all over this guy's house, like everywhere.
Well, the beginning sequence of the movie is, clocks, flying through the void of space until it stops at Big Ben. Until it stops at Big Ben, and there's a lightning flash, and then it cuts to the, the title sequence. So
yeah, and this is another part I appreciated. The title sequence has like all the seasons, like all 4 seasons.
Oh, really?
Like snows, and then it rains, and then it's sunny, I think, and then the leaves fall, and then it snows again, which I liked. I like that.
Okay, that's a nice touch.
Telling us some of the themes.
Yeah.
Time.
Yeah.
Anyways,
and it's always changing. Yeah.
The time they are changing. Sorry.
Had a quote. Music from Watchmen. Huh?
Yep. Sure.
Okay.
Fuck Bob Dylan. It's the Watchmen. This is a film podcast. Sorry.
That's right. That's right.
All hail Zack Snyder.
Well.
Just kidding.
Okay.
I'm joking. Anyways.
Title sequence seasons.
Yes. Okay. So there's clocks all over George's house.
And
one of the snobs, or the posh fellows, is he's like, "What time is it?" to his friend, and his friend like is about to take out his pocket watch, and then he just kind of like looks around and he looks back at the guy like, "Screw you." I loved that part, and then there's one more. Or a few more funny parts. So George gets out the scale replica, and it's so English.
I heard you chuckling at this part. I think
it's so funny for a couple of reasons. First of all, because it's like this beautifully embroidered like wooden box.
Yeah, it's a wooden box that's been all closed, and then he gets Mr. Grumpy to hold it, and then he like unfolds it like outward, like the sides come out, but then he lifts up the top, and then Mr. Grumpy has to stretch to look over the top, and inside is the smaller model, but there's like red velvet padding. It's
so like English, But the funny part of that was, Mr. Grumpy looking over the top. His eyes are like super wide and they're just like bouncing around cartoonishly because his eyes are the only thing showing above the box. But I also just love how like opulent the box is.
Yeah,
it's like red velvet cushioned walls around the time machine.
Yeah, it's ludicrous.
Yeah.
Well, for cigars apparently.
For cigars. Yeah. Or what's the mouse who talks? That Stuart Little.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Stuart Little through time.
Oh, there we go. There we go, Steve.
That's a movie franchise on its
Written
own.
by M. Night Shyamalan.
Well, no, like that should be like a series of, well, back in my day it would be like TV movies, but I guess nowadays it'd be like streaming movies where imagine it's like Stuart Little meets Quantum Leap.
Yeah. I love it.
Okay.
But you get my joke.
Yeah,
I have to explain it.
Yeah.
M. Night Shyamalan. He wrote Stuart Little.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was one of his first like Hollywood writing credits.
Oh, okay.
He wrote the first Stuart Little.
Wow.
Or he was like one of the main writers.
Wow. That's weird.
Anyways, sorry.
I should watch Stuart Little. I haven't seen it.
It's fine.
Okay.
It's strange. I need to show you a YouTube video by Leo Vader about
okay. Should we do a double feature with Stuart Little and then Ratatouille? Okay.
No, I don't want to watch either of those movies.
Okay, what about Stuart Little and then Paddington?
I would rather watch Ratatouille than Paddington or something, because Ratatouille is a better movie than Stuart Little, I think.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Okay.
You pick them.
Okay.
If you want to pick them, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm just grumpy and I want to pick my movies.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
We're never going to make it through this movie.
No, we're 41 minutes in. We're fine. We haven't even
we're 15 minutes into the movie, though.
It's okay. Things will pick up. Okay. So Philby asked George to come with him. George says no, he wants to spend it alone. George makes him promise he won't walk out the front door. No, Philby makes George promise he won't leave the house. George promises he won't walk out the front door. George apologizes and tells him to come by for dinner next Friday and bring the others. And so that's when George's narration begins. Mm-hmm. That's when like the voiceover actually begins. Because that's when everybody else left, so they don't know the story from this point on. And then he describes like, how he, does the time machine. And yeah, it's really cool. And he, what?
I just thought of another thing that made me laugh about this movie, but I'll get to it.
No, go for it.
Okay. There's, on the actual time machine, there's a knob that makes the time machine go forward or backward.
Yeah, there's a crystal knob. Well, it's more like a crystal lever, and he can put it in and take it out.
Yeah, it's like a key almost.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not a key. It acts like a key, but it doesn't look like a key. It looks like a big lever that you actually handle with your hand.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But when I first saw it, it just reminded me of the part in Napoleon Dynamite where they're like, I bought a time machine off the internet. And Napoleon's like, it's not working. And then Kip is like, you forgot to put the crystals in.
Well, now you get that reference.
Oh, I love Napoleon Dynamite so much.
I love Napoleon Dynamite too. It's been too long since I watched it last. So,
and then he turns it on and it's like shocking his crotch. Anyways, I'm sorry.
Well, the time machine, that prop was used in. It's been used in the Big Bang Theory several times. So
the actual,
I don't know if it's like the movie prop or if it's a replica, but it's been shown there. So
that's fun.
Yeah. My mom showed it to me because she's the one who watches that show, not me. So
you had to clarify.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I mean, God, I'm a real life geek. I don't need to see what geekdom is like on TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah. It's like, do those, guys who fish all the time, do they really watch all those fishing shows, or is the people who watch it the people who can't fish,
Those who can't watch sitcoms about.
Yeah. There was TV shows about it. Yeah. Okay. So He activates the time machine.
He activates the time machine.
Yeah. And his laboratory is, it's like, it looks kind of like a greenhouse. So there's like all these window panes that he can look outside. And he looks across the store to Philby's department store. And in the store, there's a mannequin of a woman. And so that's how he gets a sense of time passing by, by, the change of fashions.
Which is one of my favorite plot devices of this movie. I just love that. Yeah. I love that as a storytelling device.
Yeah.
Visually storytelling device. And I'm guessing it was in the book too, but I just love that.
No. I'm sure it wasn't in the book.
Oh, okay. Well, I love that whoever directed the movie and wrote the screenplay, I love that they put that in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the first stop he makes is in 1917 because that's when his home gets boarded up. And it's the Great War. And so he comes out and he meets who he thinks is Philby.
Right.
But Philby dressed as a soldier, but it's actually James Philby, David's son.
Yes.
And they kind of have a heart-to-heart, and James says that, my father is the executor of the estate of the man who used to live there, and he's, he won't sell it because he's keeping it for his friend who disappeared. So that's the level of devotion Philby has to George. And then George learns that there's a war between England and Germany, the 1917 war. So, and that kind of, bums him out. So he decides to go into the future and sees what happens. So he goes back to the time machine, turns it on, but once he hits 1940, he's forced to stop because,
Sorry, can I jump back a little bit? I have a note that I wanted to comment on.
Yeah.
I love that the actor for Philby,
Alan Young.
Yeah. I love how he uses his accents.
Yeah.
I love that because it's also like, it's like kind of the generational, what do you call like an immigrant, first generation immigrant family.
Yeah.
Because
David's accent is very, very Scottish.
Yes.
But Alan's is much more British.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just love that attention to detail, that acting choice or directing choice. Whoever made that decision, great job. I love that detail. It adds so much more texture to the story and it clarifies the characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just love that. Wanted to talk about that.
Oh, and he also invites the guy to tea. He's like, "Are you okay? Do you want some tea?" So we have in this movie, that's how important tea is, to the British. If you're mentally ill, have some tea. That's what Philby's son was.
That's
thinking.
what the king is doing to cure his cancer.
Harsh.
What? It's true.
Is that true?
Yeah, the king doesn't believe in chemotherapy right now.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to solve this homeopathically.
Oh, well, let's see if he's still alive by the time this episode comes out.
Oh my gosh.
We're terrible people. Okay.
No, we're not. They're so stupid.
Well,
anyways, I'm sorry.
Well, he's part of the aristocracy, which, we'll get there in this movie. Okay. So yeah, he sees the flying machines in the new war, and it's the Blitz. Wait. I was skipping a part, right? Did I talk about 1940?
1940 is what you're talking about now, right?
Okay, yeah. He goes in the machine, and his machine starts to wobble. Because the space where he's at, it's the Blitz. 1940, London is being bombed by Germany. And that's what's causing his machine to wobble, and he stops. And he sees the flying machines, what he calls flying machines, which are the airplanes. And then his home gets destroyed by the bombing. So he goes back to his time machine, and he goes forward into the future again, where he stops in 1966.
Mhm.
Oh boy. He stops because he hears a weird noise several times, like it's almost constant as he travels into the future. So he stops to find out what it is, and it's the noise of air raid sirens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because in this version of 1966, Britain is under attack.
What's going on is it's the Cold War.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And at that time, what they're afraid of is, nuclear bombs being dropped.
Right.
Now, in the Cold War, it's been said that it's been fought primarily between the United States and then the Soviet Union.
Mm-hmm.
But every other country, was involved on, to either one side or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And so England was obviously an ally of the United States, but it's a lot closer to Russia than, the United States is.
Right.
So, so if, so after the war, after World War II, what happened was, the Soviet Union, they took over a lot of other countries into what they called the Warsaw Pact.
Mm-hmm.
And they were, controlled by the Soviet Union, the USSR. So what the United States and their allies did to counter that was make NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which was made up of the United States, and then England, and then I believe France, and then, it grew from there. And so, yeah, NATO was a military alliance to counteract like how huge the Soviet Union is and how much territory it gained. Because what happened was FDR made a deal with Joseph Stalin.
Okay.
Which is whichever force conquers territory that was held by Nazi Germany, that country would oversee.
Oh, wow.
So when Russia came into Eastern Europe to get to Germany, it basically took those countries over and forced them to become, communist countries.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what happened with Ukraine?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And that also became known as the Soviet bloc.
Gotcha.
So yeah. So in England and the rest of Europe, what the big scare is that the United States and the Soviet Union would escalate, nuclear deterrence and, nuclear hostility towards each other. And then Western Europe would get caught in the middle. So that's where that's coming from. And yeah, so, in England, they used air raid sirens during World War II, to warn that, hey, the Germans are, coming to bomb. But, now we have nuclear missiles.
Yeah.
And so the only way one of the ways they tried to survive a nuclear attack was to get everybody into air raid shelters. And then, they'd play the air raid sirens, and then everybody would go in. And that's what they thought that the future would be like. The future of the Cold War would be like.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what happens when he gets to 1966. He hears the air raid sirens, and then he sees all these people running to an air raid shelter, and they all go in, and he's all alone on the street until he meets James Philby again. Yeah.
And James Philby, he's so annoying. George is so annoying. Because everyone is telling him to get to shelter. Flip the shelter. And this poor old man comes out of this, shop.
He comes out of the department store.
The department store that his father owned. And he's like, get in shelter, young man. And he's like, wait, hold on. Do you know who I am? Do you recognize me?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you're old.
Yeah.
I'm from the past. Anyways,
but to be fair, he has no idea about the Cold War. He has no idea about atomic bombs.
If everyone is running in a panic to a shelter, even an old man who can barely run.
It could be just a future thing, Dan. You don't know that.
Oh my God.
George doesn't know that.
He's so arrogant. Anyways.
Well, he's Victorian. He's a Victorian, wealthy white guy. So
yeah, I know.
Yeah, he can't help it.
Anyways, that bothered me. But then we see, Philby, and Philby does recognize him.
Yeah.
And then Philby's like, get to shelter, and Philby goes, and then somehow George is not in shelter, and atomic blasts happen.
Yeah.
And he just like gets covered in dust and is like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, oh my God, the editing is so great. Because it's like a medium close-up of George as he like lays in the grass. And then it cuts to all these miniature shots of miniature London getting destroyed by the atomic bomb. Yeah, and Philby mentions the atomic satellite, and there's like there's a miniature shot, there's a miniature set, and there's like a little like metal thing like with the light on it like coming towards them. It's like, oh no, we gotta get out of here. But that's another thing, the space race.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. When when the Russians launched Sputnik, that's created a scare. That created a scare in the United States, and kind of pushed the arms race on the United States side. Thinking it was some kind of Russian weapon from outer space. So yeah. Yeah. And then oh my God, it's so funny. Because a nuclear blast happens and like nothing happens to him. So he's able to get, into the time machine and then move forward. And apparently the atomic blasts create volcanoes.
Yeah. What? Yeah. What? That was so. I was like, wait, what? Because the bomb goes off, and then it's like the voiceover is like, which triggered volcanic eruptions.
Yeah, and then so from the bomb blast, that's when we get the miniature shots of like the cars that are burnt up in the middle of the streets, and then that's where we get the lava effect shot where the lava flows down the street and it starts burning what's left of the of the cars. And it reminded me of that movie Volcano with Tommy Lee Jones.
Heard about it, but never saw it.
Oh. When we need a cheesy disaster movie, that's one of the best. It's got Tommy Lee Jones and Anne Heche. And let me see who directed it. I think it's the guy who directed Falling Down.
Can I tell you an off-pod story, maybe?
Okay.
Really quickly?
Okay.
When I was like 10 or something,
I
was still basically living at the YWAM campus, missionary campus. Every Sunday night, they would have called Family Night, which is where everyone would go to church on the campus.
Okay.
It doesn't sound culty at all now, but I talk back about it. But anyways, the leader of the campus, the acting leader of the campus, he told a story. He was like, I was watching he's from Australia.
Okay.
I was watching Volcano with my son. That's not Australian. Whatever. And he's like, and there's a part in the end of the movie where a guy is holding another guy and he jumps into the lava in order to save the other guy. And my son asked me, Daddy, was that man a Christian? Did he go to heaven? And I was like, I think so, son. And I was like, wait, so you don't have to believe in Jesus? Like, my whole like theological structure was questioned in that moment. because, like, you know, you're supposed to believe in Jesus in order to go to heaven. That's the only way to get to heaven. Anyway.
Do you want this story to go on air?
It can if you want. I don't
care.
Okay.
Because I would love to, like, now we gotta watch Volcano at some point.
Yeah.
So
it can go on air.
Okay.
It was just a really weird personal tangent.
But it's like, of all movies to, like, shatter your theological beliefs.
Well, it didn't shatter it, obviously, because it took another, like, 10, 12 years to shatter it.
Cracked. Okay.
Yeah. But I was just like, what the fuck? That's not theologically correct.
Well, you know what the best thing about Volcano is its message, its ultimate message, is that we're all alike. We're all alike. Now I can't wait to show you. I can't wait to show you how it portrays that. It's awesome.
Is it anything like the Sylvester Stallone movie Daylight?
I have not seen Daylight. But if we're gonna watch Daylight, then we need to do a double feature of Daylight and Cliffhanger. We just have to.
I watched Daylight a lot growing up because we had it on VHS.
Okay, well, that makes sense. I'm a child of the 80s, so I've been there too. For me, it was Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home. So,
okay.
Yeah.
That's the one with the whales, right?
Yeah.
I love that
one. Who doesn't?
I think we had that on VHS too.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Sorry. You're fine.
Back to this.
Okay.
Exorbitantly long episode.
It's fine. So yeah, the 1960s. Volcanoes in England, and then okay. So you're talking about the mountains.
Yeah,
and this is where it happens. Because what happens is the molten lava, like, forms around him for some reason and makes a mountain that he's trapped in. And no. He says, well, he doesn't even bother is the thing. Like, he doesn't stop and, like, you know, try to go out of it. But he says he's trapped, and he's like, yeah, all I can do is wait for the mountain to erode. Yeah. And so that's what he does, and it takes 80,000 years to do so. He doesn't stop until the year 80,000. Hold on. 802,701. That's the year where he stops. And he says that at that point, there's no war and no winter. And he wondered if had man learned to control himself and the elements. And the answer is kinda. I mean, in a way, man controls himself.
Yeah. But in a creepier way.
Yeah. And so
not self-control, control of others' selves.
Yeah. Man controlling man. Yeah, that's how man controls himself when one man controls another. So you know, nothing ever really changes.
Yeah.
Nothing ever really changed.
That's why I was like, this movie's. They kind of did strike the perfect balance of human, you know? Like, they're not overpopulating the planet. They're not destroying each other. They're just, you know, keeping it at a nice, steady population. Sure, people are getting eaten. But, you know.
Way to spoil it, Dan.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
So cut it out. Go ahead. You can cut it out. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I mean, I already mentioned Soylent Green, so... Yeah.
Or you can splice it in later. I don't give a shit.
Okay. So he stops because he sees, like, you know, the world around him is kind of in a perpetual, similar, you know, paradise climate. So he stops and he decides to explore. And, you know, apparently where, you know, Philby's department store, it's obviously no longer there. Well, it wouldn't be Philby's department store. But it's like where the street was. That's where a temple with a weird head Um,
and a big garage door.
Yeah. Yeah. Which will have no significance, in the future of the plot. And so like he rocks around and the landscape is beautiful. It's like a bountiful garden of various fruits. It's paradise. And then he sees an unrepaired, like broken glass dome, and he goes inside.
I thought there was also, it was kind of cool set design. The broken glass dome, I think, also had, it was like a globe or part of a globe as well. So it had like shapes of continents on it.
Okay.
I think. I just liked that detail.
Okay. I did not notice that.
I could be wrong.
But that is a cool detail.
Yeah.
If it does have it.
Anyways, he goes towards it.
Yeah, and he talks about like there's like this advanced technology or, I guess architecture, but it's also broken down and unrepaired. So he's like wonders what has happened to humanity. So he walks into the place with the broken dome. And there's all these tables and benches, like stone and set into the ground, the floor, and all these like white ceramic dishes, plates, goblets, and so forth.
And then fruit bowl.
Yeah. But they're empty. No, they're empty because it's a plot point later.
Okay.
Yeah, and so but there's nobody there.
Right.
And he picks up a plate and sets it down, and there's an echo. This kind of a weird sequence that kind of goes nowhere, but I guess it's to set like the tone of like his isolation. And like maybe he's going a little crazy.
Well,
maybe
it's cool because it's kind of like Twilight Zone-esque.
Yeah,
he might be the last man on Earth currently.
Yeah,
and it also reminded me a little bit of I haven't finished the book, but The Magician's Nephew from Narnia.
Okay.
It's the first book in the series. Anyways, there's like the
first chronological book, right? The first book chronologically.
It's book 1, I believe.
He didn't write it before The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, did he?
I think he did.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong, but
okay.
It could be the.
I think. Did you get it like in a omnibus?
No, it was in a separate book.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because I know in the omnibus, The Magician's Nephew comes first, but it's chronological. So, but anyway,
I'm not sure.
Okay. I want to cut all this out.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Whatever.
Okay.
Anyways, there's like the basic plot of that story is that kids stumble into this weird forest and they have these pools that transport them to like empty halls.
Yeah.
It's what reminded me of this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, that's where in that universe they establish like the portal network that leads from the wardrobe to Narnia, I think.
And I think that's where they meet a witch.
Okay.
Evil witch.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I didn't read that many of the books. They just
I read The Magician's Nephew, and I read Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. I think I read some others, like 1 or 2 after that. That's it. So
I saw the movies. The 2 of them.
Oh, did you see Mr. Tumnus?
Ewan? No, not
no.
Ian?
No.
Ian McKellen?
No. Ian McKellen's the old guy. And Fassbender. Michael Fassbender plays Magneto.
Yeah.
So it's not him.
No.
Ian McKellen and Michael Fassbender both play Magneto.
Yeah.
So there's Patrick Stewart.
What are you talking about right now?
No. The same guy who played Mr. Tumnus also plays young Professor X.
Oh yeah, he does.
Yeah.
What is his name? He was in Split.
God. He was in Split. He was in
he was in that
Wanted. He was in Wanted.
Yeah.
Which is actually a comic book, but it's like, oh my God. It takes great liberties. But you can't directly adapt the comic book. If I explained why, we'd have to go into content warnings, and I didn't record one already, so we won't talk about that the comic book. Oh my god.
We're so brain fucked.
Should I look it up?
No.
Okay.
Oh wait. Oh, the actor?
Yeah.
It's either Ewan or
no, it's not.
Ian or something.
James McAvoy.
Oh, fuck. I was way off.
Yeah, we were way off. Yeah. He was also in the Children of Dune miniseries that was on Sci-Fi. So he played Leto Atreides II, or Leto II. And he eventually becomes the God Emperor of Dune, where he's like a human sandworm hybrid. Yeah. God Emperor of Dune is my favorite. Oh my God. It's my favorite book in that series.
I need to read them.
Well, there's so much dialogue in God Emperor that you forget there's a plot.
Oh, that's the best.
Yeah. Well, it's like the Star Trek the Motion Picture of novels. Well, of Dune. Okay. I'd have to read other books to know if, like, in all of literature, and I don't know literature that much. So, okay.
Fair.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're fine. Okay.
So he gets to the
what were we talking about?
He gets to the globe empty temple,
Yeah.
and there's nothing in the goblets, and he walks around, and it's spooky and weird.
Yeah. And you mentioned like he's the last man on Earth.
Yeah.
Well, there's actually a movie called The Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price, and it's an adaptation of a book, I Am Legend.
Oh,
which was also adapted into a movie, The Omega Man, with Charlton Heston.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Oh my God, we have to do a triple feature. We gotta do. But I mean, I need your permission to do a triple feature.
You can do a triple feature as long as it's your picks.
But I need 3 in a row is the thing. Unless I let you do a triple feature, which we can discuss that.
We'll discuss it.
Okay. So yeah, but then he hears people laughing and having a good time, and so he goes by the river, and that's when he sees a lot of Aryan people.
Yeah, young, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, purple people eaters. Sorry.
Well, no, because then they would be of color and get that in this movie.
No, but they're all
and they're not purple, but they are blue. There are blue people.
Yeah, that's true. Whoa. Anyways. And he's like, "Wow, this must be paradise."
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, they aren't working or suffering. Which is his 2 reasons why this must be paradise.
Yeah, they're just hanging out and having a good time. But then he sees a girl who's in the river, and she's being swept away. She gets to, oh my God, I love this part because I'm a terrible person. She gets swept through the river and comes to a stop at these 2 rocks, and on each rock is one of these blonde young men
cuts.
Yeah, with the bowl cuts. And she's like, help, and they're just sitting there lounging back. And then George is like, my God, what's wrong with you? And that's when he jumps into the river and tries to rescue her. That's when he tries to rescue her. And then he drags her out of the river and asks if she's all right, and she makes no response. And all the people go back to the glass dome to eat. But he stays out for a moment, and then the girl comes out to talk to him, ask why he came after her. and he says that he did it to save her life. And he says that it doesn't seem to mean much to everybody else. And this is from my notes. It's like, yeah, you have no curiosity. And he asks to be able to speak to someone older, and she says there isn't anyone older.
And he's so condescending and mansplaining, and it's like the born sexy yesterday trope.
Oh, okay.
At least that was my read of it.
Well, I mean, they don't know anything,
Yeah, which is why he thinks she's so hot. So he can form her in his own image.
Well.
She's basically mentally a child. Why are you defending this?
Well, I mean, I don't think like, you know nothing, now I'm hard. I don't think it happens that way, Dan. It doesn't.
But he sees her as so young and innocent, and
not at this point.
What do you mean?
Well, we'll get there. I'll show you the exact point, like when it gets like super sexy, because it's so funny because it's obviously filmed during the Hays Code. We'll get there.
I know what you're talking about, but
okay.
But it's still from the jump. It's just weird. It's a weird dynamic, I think.
But I mean, it goes with the story, though.
What do you mean? How does it go with the story?
Like they don't know anything, and there are reasons behind it. Like it's not.
But
like...
he doesn't have to want to fuck her. You know what I'm saying? He can be a nice guy, but he's not. He's a Victorian guy.
But, okay, well, how at this moment? At this moment, does it seem like he wants to fuck her?
Maybe it's just my read.
Okay.
But he's like, I don't know. He's like so.
Well, Rod Taylor's so fucking sexy anyway. Like he can't help it. You know what I mean?
Well, it's also the filmmaking, the sort of ogling the camera does almost.
Oh yeah, but to Rod Taylor. Well, I mean, I guess to
I don't know. It just like
she's as well, but
she's just so like picturesque and blonde and like quote unquote perfect.
But there are also in story reasons for that.
I know. I'm just being annoying. Whatever.
Okay. And so then that's when they go into the eatery. And he tries to engage them in conversation, but they say nothing. They just eat. And he's amazed by this huge prop cherry.
Yeah.
And, so they go back. He goes in and he sees all the people, all the beautiful blonde people like are sitting and eating and drinking. Mm-hmm. But that stuff wasn't there before.
No.
So, bit of a mystery. And then... he tries to engage them in conversation, but they don't at all. And he says, perhaps curiosity perhaps curiosity has died along with courtesy, something like that. And then he tries to learn about them, asking, ask some questions, and he finds out that, but like, this is when he's like, what's the word? Very academic about the questions he asks. Like, what's your government? What's your government like? When was the last time you asked somebody what their government was like? It's out of the blue. It's a great dinner conversation, Yeah.
I mean, from his perspective, I don't see any problem with that.
That's true.
He's trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
What's the scoop?
Yeah. And they're like, we have no government. Well, who makes how do you make laws? Well, we don't have any law.
I'm going to go on another tangent.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm not sorry. It's just so British of him. And okay, so I was watching these lectures online by, oh my goodness, what is his name? Oh my goodness. Elliot. He's a professor in Georgia on Old Testament.
Okay.
And I was watching through most of I was trying to watch all of his lectures because they're all for free on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about how this Bible historian was interpreting like fossil records because apparently like the Israelites may have had like some grave sites or something like next to a building of some kind. And his hypothesis was that it was some sort of temple. But there was this English professor, and she was like, well, it could be a church, or I don't remember the exact situation. But anyways, she was like, well, it could be a church. And he's like, well, why do you think it's a church? And she said, well, in Britain, everyone has graveyards next to the churches. So it's just like that perspective of like, oh, well, everyone should be like us. And, anyways, that was a bad tangent.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I have to find his name. Anyway,
okay. No, I'll let you do that before we move on.
It's gonna drive me crazy.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
You're fine. I'm gonna cut all this out anyway. The dead air.
Richard Elliott Friedman. I just remembered it.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. Yeah, that's how you got his name. You remembered it.
Yeah, because I was looking through my YouTube.
Oh, okay.
No, but I didn't see it. I just remembered it. I did.
I believe you.
Okay.
And so he also asked them, well, where do you get your clothing? And they're like, I don't know. Does anybody do Man, I'm losing it. Does anybody do any work? Nobody works. Oh, so you have a well-developed economy for studying and experimenting. And he's like, no, we don't do any of that. We just hang out and eat and, just chill. And so he's like, well, what about books? You don't know anything, but I bet I could learn from the books you have. He's like, well, we have books. And so he takes them to a part, I guess adjacent. We don't see them actually walk. So, the set was,
a separate set somewhere.
Yeah. It's fine. And so there's like a room and there's like bookshelves that are covered with like drapes. And he pulls it back and he sees like all these old books and he takes one out and he opens it and he tries to turn the page and the page crumbles to dust. And like the rest of the book just falls apart in his hands. And he's like, before he was like, he's like, yes, these books do tell me all about you.
Yeah.
And so then he comes out.
Well, first he like in a righteous anger.
Oh, that's what I was getting to.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Because it's like the ultimate boomer moment, like possibly all of cinema. He's like, oh my God, you people here, you just sit around and enjoy the sunshine and like eat fruits and like just chill. You don't struggle, you don't strive. How dare you?
This floor is dirty as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Well, if you got time to lean, you got time to clean, Dan.
I was quoting UHF, which was quoting Network.
Oh, okay.
Because I haven't seen Network, I've only seen UHF.
I think I was quoting David Spade and Mallrats, I believe. I'm not sure.
I mean, that's a very...
Or like every asshole boss, in America since from 1950 until now. Oh, ultimate boomer moment right there.
I was going to mention, though, right before that, he, in a rage, destroys an entire shelf of books.
Oh, yeah.
Real mature.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, boomer moment.
Yeah.
Like I said.
You guys don't take care of books. Destroys a whole bookshelf.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, and before, so while George was talking to the woman he saved, that's when we find out that her name is Weena. That is from the book, by the way. And since you laughed, I now got what's funny about that. So
every time he yells, Weena! Weena! I was just thinking of like a New England accent wiener.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyways, sorry.
And we find out that she calls her people the Eloi.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so he's like, he gets so mad that he's around all these people who don't work and just enjoy themselves, enjoy life, living in the moment, you know, just having a good time. He can't stand that so much that he decides, he's like, fuck this, I'm going back to my own time. So he goes back to where his time machine should be, near the temple with the head. And he sees that it's, you know, it's not there. And he sees drag marks that put it, you know, on the other side of the door of the temple.
One thing, sorry, just conceptually, I just want to talk a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it is really interesting that, like, it's a utopian society where no one works and, you know, it's like a paradise. And, like, what would be the price that we would pay, even if you got taken away and, spoiler alert, sorry, eaten when you're, like, 30 or whatever the age is, like, you know, what would be the age where you, like, if you could live for however many years of paradise and then get eaten, would you choose, like, a certain amount of years? You know, like, what's the balance there? Is there one, you know, I just think that's an interesting, like, thought concept, thought experiment. And then also, I think he does have somewhat of a good point when he's, like, angry about them not caring about the entire built up knowledge of human existence. Because it is like we should strive to make the world a better place, and, you know, advance.
Says who? Says who?
Well, that's an interesting question too, because, like, maybe that's what it looks like to reach enlightenment, is to just hang out and play all day.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. So it's like this weird kind of thought experiment, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's like, have they reached the peak of what human civilization can be, which is almost reverting back to a you know, primordial, you know, prehistory,
pastoral.
Yes. You know, like the garden almost, you know. I just think it's a really interesting image, and
yeah, time is a flat circle.
Time is a flat circle.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Look out, Mark.
I was gonna say, time is a flat circle, y'all.
I'm trying to remember some more wrestling quotes. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyways. So George pounds on the panel to open with a rock, and the rock crumbles, and Weena warns him that the Morlocks are inside there. So that's where we get, you know, another hint, you know, that something's not kosher. And he asks who the Morlocks are, and she says they give the Eloi what they need. And she tries to get him to come with her, you know, away from here before the dark. And he says that only children are afraid of the dark, but the Eloi are like children. So, yeah. Yeah. And then I didn't write down the specific dialogue, but we get a title drop in this movie because he's like, something like, you know, I don't know what the context is, but it's like, you know, yeah, I need to get back the time machine. I mean, he just says it like a title drop.
Me and Sierra always talk about title drops in, like, movies and plays, and how fun and stupid it is. And there's a YouTube channel devoted to if a movie ends whenever they say the title.
Oh, okay.
And there's like it just, like, cuts after Gandalf says, like, the Fellowship of the Ring or something.
Yeah.
It's just like, boom, and the titles drop. It's just funny. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. And
what are we, some kind of Suicide Squad?
I love title drops. And over the course of the show, I always point them out.
There's one movie that I might make you watch called Wildlife.
Okay.
And it stars Jake Gyllenhaal, and he's like into like a rampage, and he's like, "What is this? This is some kind of wildlife, huh?" Sorry for spoilers for that.
It's okay. And yeah, he says that the human race has been reduced to living vegetables.
Which is not very politically correct.
Well,
I'm just kidding. Doesn't matter.
Okay. So then Morlock drags Winter away, and George fights him in the bushes. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was pretty neat because, a fight's going on and we got like a little glimpse of a Morlock, but we didn't see all of it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like a, Jaws moment, which was nice.
Yeah.
And so Weena wants to take George away to be safe from the Morlocks, but George wants to stay so he can see if the door opens again so he can get the time machine.
Right.
So what he plans to do is stay there, and he tells Weena to gather some dead branches, and so he makes a fire because he has some matches. So he uses it to light a fire, and then Weena reaches out to it, and then George stops her. He's like, "What? Have you never seen fire before?" And she's like, "No." And yeah, like they talk, and she says that there's no past and there's no future. There's only the present for them. And he explains that he says that man's past is mainly a grim struggle for survival, and he sees this time as just another dark age, one of many in man's history. And that's when. Hold on.
Well, he also says one more thing, which is that self-sacrifice. Wait, does he say that here?
I'm not sure.
Self-sacrifice is the only difference that separates humans from animals. He mentioned. I think that's here. Yeah. I just don't remember what the context is for that.
Okay.
What he's talking about. Oh, she says, "Why did you save me?" or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe not.
That was way before, like on the steps of the eatery. When she asked, "Why did you save me?"
Oh, okay. Then, yeah. But I have it written down in my notes. This is the time. Because.
Okay. What do your notes say?
Well, it says she's never seen fire. Then right below that, self-sacrifice is the only difference that separates humans from animals.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, it's fine. I didn't notice that part. So. But I mean, well, no, that's not true.
It's not true. It's not.
That's not true at all.
Other animals sacrifice each other for other animals all the time.
Yeah, the children. They're young.
Yeah. So then, the fire gets going, it gets a little warm.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because, this is obviously, during the Hays Code, because what happens is, they get real close to each other, and the fire is in their foreground, and the camera just does a tilt down from them to the fire, representing, the heat of their passion. And that's when it gets really sexy now.
Yeah.
That's when it gets really sexy. Yeah.
And then,
yeah.
It pans up, and
well then, I'm not sure what happens before then, but in my notes, they're talking, and then she's like, "Yeah, I learned he's saying something about the past, the wars. He's talking about the wars, and she's like, "Yeah, the rings told me about the wars." And he's like, "The rings talk to you?" He's like, "Yeah, can you show me where they are?" So he takes her to a place. She takes him to a place. And there's like a metal table, and there's like rings, like wide rings.
Metal rings. They look like tablecloth rings.
Yeah. And then he's like, "Okay, make the rings talk." So she spins the ring on the metal table, and as it spins, a voice recites.
And a light shines up.
Yeah.
The ring.
Yeah. The rings told her about the Morlocks, and then what the first ring says is that it's the 326th year of war between East and West. The atmosphere was polluted with germs, and the last factory for manufacturing oxygen was destroyed.
They have no more resources to fight.
Yeah, neither side does.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an apocalyptic stalemate.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going to go underneath the ground to where it's safe until it's safe to come back out.
Well, there's two factions. One's decided to stay above.
Well, that's the next ring.
Okay.
That's the second ring.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, he spins the second ring, and it says, this is the voice of the last who remembers, and he says that some took refuge below the surface, and the rest took their chances on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
So we get the understanding that those who went to the surface are the Eloi, and those who remain underground evolved into the Morlocks.
Yeah.
And he realizes that the Morlocks have been maintaining the Eloi.
Mm-hmm.
And so he decides to go down into the Morlock kingdom and find out what happens to the Eloi that are taken.
Mm-hmm.
And so we go to a place where there's these
They're like anthill tunnels.
Yeah, they're
access tunnels.
Or air shafts, maybe. With ladders embedded into the rock.
Mm-hmm.
So he starts to go down, and then Weena gives her a flower that she picked, as a token for her. And so he starts to go down, but then from the temple, air raid sirens, move up, and they start to play the air raid siren noise.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that happens, it's like Weena's in a trance.
Yeah.
And she mindlessly starts to go back. She walks towards the temple.
Mm-hmm.
And then George climbs out, and then he goes after her, and we see more Eloi mindlessly walking towards the temple through the doorway. And then Weena gets through the doorway, and George is just about to get through it too to rescue her when the door closes. Let's see. And so
he tries to talk sense into everyone.
Yeah.
Kind of shouts at the crowds, being like, he's explaining that the air raid sirens. Go ahead.
Well, he wants to urge them to do something.
Right.
And he says, don't stand there like fatted cattle.
What?
Foreshadowing.
Yeah.
But then one of the Eloi men responds, "There's nothing wrong. It's all clear."
Yeah.
And that's just how he explains everything. It's fine. It's all clear now.
Which is what James Philby. Or maybe they didn't say that.
No, they did. He said, "Yeah, you need to come down into the air raid shelter until we get the all clear."
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a weird sort of. It reminds me of just the collective unconscious of kind of like a Mad Max, like these leftover phrases from thousands and thousands of years ago. Somehow they survived, but it's interesting because they've almost become religious or imbibed with greater, deeper meaning.
Have you seen Zardoz?
No.
For those who have seen Zardoz, you know why that movie is relevant to this. But
do they worship a plunger or something?
No. Oh my God, we gotta watch that movie. And I don't want to tell you anything until we watch that movie.
Okay. Write it down.
Okay.
We have so many movies to watch.
Just remember Zardoz.
Okay.
What is it? the penis is evil. The penis shoots seeds and makes new life to poison the earth with a plague of men, as once it was. But the gun shoots death and purifies the earth of the filth of brutals. Go forth and kill.
Oh, wow.
Starring Sean Connery.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, his first movie after James Bond.
That sounds like a crazy movie.
Can't wait. Can't wait to show you that one. Okay.
All
clear. He asks what happens to those who go below, and they say nobody ever comes back. And he says, well, you can try to get them. And he's like, well, I'll try. So he goes down into the hole. And then he kind of explores the subterranean caverns. Mm-hmm. And that's when he sees what happens to the Eloi that are taken underground.
Soylent Green is people.
Yeah. He sees Eloi skeletons, and they're cannibals. Oh my God. They breed the Eloi like cattle. So I don't know. Do we want to talk about, do we want to unpack things now, or do you want to wait for later until we finish the plot?
Just finish it real quick.
Okay.
A whipping battle ensues.
Yeah, a whipping battle.
Fire.
George uses a match to scare them because they're subterranean and can't stand the light.
Swashbuckling punching battle.
Yeah. It's very Star Trek, the original series action scene. Yeah.
But there are some great stunts.
Some
great Yeah. And there's even a little bit of wire work, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways.
And then George sets fire to a gas pipe.
Mm-hmm. Wait. First, the blonde guy learns to fight.
Oh yeah.
Resistance. Humanity from the Eloi. They learn to stand up for themselves. He looks at his fist. He's like, cool.
They learn to struggle and strive for something.
Exactly. And then I wrote convenient gasoline pipe.
That's a gas pipe.
Yeah.
Which George sets fire to, and then the Eloi escape up the air shaft and tells them to chuck dry branches down there.
Yeah.
So the whole thing gets on fire, and there's explosions from the shafts, and then the ground collapses and destroys that part of the Morlock caverns.
Really cool.
Yeah, and then they go back to the temple, and it's burning, and the doors are open. So George rushes inside because we can see the time machine right there.
Yeah.
So he gets there, but the Morlocks come out and try to stop him. So they fight. He punches one and kills one, and it slumps over against the wall.
Well,
yeah.
First, they have a moment of reuniting, and they have a little talk. And Weena is like, how do the women in your time wear their hair? Right? And then he shows her, and then they
well, that was during the fire part, I thought.
Oh, maybe so.
Yeah.
Really?
Maybe. I didn't write down that part because
okay.
It's a bad love story.
Anyways. Okay, so then he runs in to get to the time machine.
He fights off the Morlocks, kills one, but before Weena can go through the doors, it closes.
Right, because he wants her to come with him.
Yeah.
The time.
Yeah. And so he jumps on the time machine and activates it, but he sets it to the future, and so that's where we get what I think.
Oh, it's so cool.
Is the coolest effect.
Yes.
We see the Morlock body decompose.
Yeah.
And the first thing that happens is its eye pops out of the socket.
Yeah. It's so cool.
It's so gruesome for 1960. I was surprised by that. And then, we see the rest of the skin, start to decompose, and then we see its skeleton, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And so he's like, yeah, I'm going the wrong way. So he, turns it back and then goes backwards in time. And he stops in He stops
January?
January 5th, 1900.
Yes.
Yes, but he's not in the laboratory. He's outside in his yard.
Yep.
Because it was moved by the Morlocks in the future.
Right.
So, he comes out, he goes in through the laboratory. And then
I love how he just grabs a log and breaks the window. He's just very tired. It's kind of, I like that.
Yeah. Well, it sets up the whole, how he got here. So yeah, it's all part of that, and it works very well. And so we go back to where we started.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't believe him because he told his story, but they don't believe him.
Yeah.
But then he finds the flower Weena gave him,
right? And
he hands it to Philby, and he's like, "Well, you're a botanist. Do you recognize this flower?" He's like, "No, I've never seen a flower like that." Mm-hmm. So.
And then they all leave.
Yeah.
All the posh friends leave.
Yeah.
And David kind of sees them off, David Philby. And he's like, well, one thing's for certain, no matter what type of flower it is, it bloomed in the wintertime.
Yeah.
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 And so then he goes back in the house, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but before that, we see
Steven's favorite screenwriting term.
We see George dragging the time machine back into his lab.
Yes.
Yeah, and then we cut back to Philby going back inside, to talk to George. Mm-hmm. But then he starts hearing a sound, so he rushes over to the laboratory, and he tries to open the door, but it's locked. And then the maid, Mrs. Watchett, comes by, and then by the time Philby is able to bust through the door, the time machine has vanished.
Yes,
and so has George. And so
David explains the tracks that he sees. He interprets the tracks because George has dragged the time machine from outside back into the laboratory,
which would be outside of the temple in 800,000 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
And David is explaining this to Mrs. Watchett. And he says, basically, he's interpreting the tracks to explain that George is now reunited with Weena.
Yeah, he's explaining what's going on to the audience that's too stupid to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I kind of want to, this movie would be kind of interesting to remake. And because I love the image of the tracks. I thought that was such a beautiful image and just visual way of telling the story. And then it's kind of disappointing that he has to explain it. But I get it. It's 1960, whatever.
Well, I hate to break it to you, Daniel. But this movie has been remade. I think it was remade in the 2000s, if not the 2010s, with Guy Pearce and the guy who voiced Scar in Lion King. He played Alfred in Batman vs. Superman.
I haven't seen Batman vs. Superman.
He was in Die Hard 3 as Simon.
Oh, Irons?
Yeah.
Jeremy Irons?
Jeremy Irons.
Okay.
Yeah. Jeremy Irons. Guy Pearce plays George. And Jeremy Irons plays the Chief Morlock.
Oh, wow.
And it's terrible.
Oh, is it?
Oh, God. It's fucking awful. Oh. It's not good. I mean, there are some nice parts to it.
Yeah.
But it's not good. It's not good at all.
Yeah.
So So we have a bit of an epilogue because Philby and Mrs. Watchett come out, and Philby says, George isn't the type of person to go somewhere without a plan. So he obviously had a plan. Did he take something with him as part of his plan for the Eloy?
Yeah.
And then and then look, throughout the room, and she says, "Oh, look, on the bookcase, 3 books are missing. He took 3 books with him." And Philby asks, "Well, do you know which books they were?" And she says, "No, I don't." And
And he asks her,
well,
what books go to you?
Yeah. Yeah. Like the audience was something to ponder with this movie.
Yeah. And then they walk out to the front door.
Mm-hmm.
And she says something about having enough time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She asks him if he thinks he will ever return. And he's like, well, one has to wonder because he has all the time in the world now.
Yeah.
Yeah. A phrase which has a very different meaning in the James Bond franchise, by the way.
Okay.
So, yeah. Majesty's Secret Service. And that's the time machine. Okay, well, now we got to talk about it. We did the plot, now we got to talk about it.
For not too much longer.
Okay.
I would like to get home.
Okay, yeah.
Before the hour.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Well, like the kind of thing that I wanted to bring up.
Yeah, go for it.
Is so. Tell me if you think this came out in the movie, but apparently in the books, George H.G. Wells, he was kind of a socialist, a communist.
Okay.
And so what he was trying to get through in the book is that the Eloi are the wealthy aristocracy.
Okay.
They're evolved from those, while the Morlocks have evolved from the blue-collar working classes that support them.
And H.G. Wells was a communist.
Yeah.
So what is he trying to say?
Well, remember, H.G. Wells didn't make this movie because in this movie, the Morlocks are like the bad guys.
Yeah, totally.
Because in they're, eating the poor, wealthy, elite, white, blonde people.
Yeah, in the book. How does it happen in the book? What are they in the book?
I haven't read the book.
Oh, me neither.
So, but yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's definitely a mixed message.
Yeah.
In that regard. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like
I mean, there are people nowadays who are like, we should eat the wealthy. And so
yes, there are some people.
Yeah.
Some people like that.
Yeah, some people are like that.
Yeah.
So I guess, this movie takes that a bit literally.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, it was also made in 1960.
Yeah.
The book was written in 1895. So, the 1960, that was right in the middle of the Cold War they were having with the communists. And, so I could see they, tried to dampen that kind of message.
Yes, totally. Yeah.
So I can see that happening.
Well, I mean, it was also when was the blacklisting of Hollywood? That was a little earlier, right?
Yeah, that was during the 50s. Yeah. But it continued for a while.
The effects definitely for a long time.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to mention, just random thought, but the actor for George, he just reminds me of like Robin Williams for some reason.
Okay.
Just he talks like he has like almost like an underbite. He just has a very pronounced chin, and so he has this kind of like a higher, gentle voice.
Yeah,
and he's
kind of like a taller Robin Williams.
Yeah,
or if Robin Williams actually worked out, like
Robin Williams got muscles, bro.
Yeah, but I mean, like even more so.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
What?
I'm just imagining like an alternate universe where Robin Williams was like a lead, like a romantic lead in like romance movies. Oh my God. Could you imagine that?
He is a romantic lead. Have you seen Good Will
Well, I did see Flubber a long time ago. So.
Oh yeah. He did get the girl in that, didn't he?
And there's also Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
Where he did not. But movie's not about that anyway. So.
I'm just thinking of Flubber where the flubber comes out the guy's ass.
Okay. I have not seen that movie since the millennium, so.
I think that was the first. Well, not the first. One of the main movies I remember falling asleep.
Okay.
Because at that time in life when I was young, I never fell asleep during movies.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, if I'm going to watch my favorite Robin Williams movie to watch is always The Birdcage. So
still haven't seen that one either.
Well, I mean, it's very dated now. It's very dated now, but it's still Robin Williams at his finest.
Yeah.
So with Nathan Lane. Yeah.
The GOAT, Nathan Lane.
Mm-hmm.
Looking over my notes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, there was a really cool shot that I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
Just really effective. Whenever the air raid sirens are going off and the Eloy are going into the shelter or whatever, there's a shot where they're all walking down the steps of the echoey food temple.
Yeah.
And they're walking out in this beautiful like crane shot or jib shot or whatever. I don't know the term that well. But it's basically following them down the steps at the exact pace that they're all walking down the steps in unison. And it created this amazing effect because all the faces almost are just matched perfectly with the camera, but they're all moving and walking. So it was mesmerizing. I just loved that, and I thought it was super effective. So
their faces basically stay in the same position in the frame, but it's the background that changes.
Yes, because the camera it's like, it's like a walking shot where you're following someone walking, but it's with their faces towards it's just really effective. It's really beautiful. I love that shot. One of my favorite shots in the movie. And then we get another shot, which is beautifully staged, where they're all walking over some hills. And we have some people in the foreground walking in a sort of pattern that dips down and then up. And then in the background, there's a pattern that dips up and then down. It's kind of just a nice, using the frame to paint a picture and staging. I just thought that was.
Well, what I really liked about this movie was the score. I thought the score was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It has a leitmotif that it uses like a lot. But there are also like other really great moments with the music, like when it starts to get really tense, like when he's walking through the wilderness.
Yeah.
And the music gets very, very tense.
He thinks he's the last guy on Earth.
Yeah.
And he's walking through the wilderness. And it gets very tense, very discordant.
Yeah, and I don't. The composer, by the way, is a guy named Russell Garcia. And yeah, it looks like he had his heyday during the 1960s. So he was also he was a composer for Rawhide, the TV show, and then he was also a composer for Atlantis: The Lost Continent. And also
the animated movie?
No, this was a live action one.
Okay.
From 1961.
Oh.
Yeah. And he was also in Father Goose. He was did the music for Father Goose as well. The not Cary Grant. Oh, it is Cary Grant. Yeah, the Cary Grant movie, which my mother loves.
Very.
Yeah.
Wait, what was the Cary Grant movie? I'm sorry.
Father Goose.
Oh, I like that movie.
Yeah.
I watched that a lot as a kid. I don't remember it.
I have not watched it.
You never watched it?
No, my mom loves it though.
Is that Audrey Hepburn?
No, it's Leslie Caron, who does look a lot like Audrey Hepburn though.
Fun fact, just random. I'm just looking at the Letterboxd/IMDb or whatever. The screenwriter also wrote Fantastic Voyage. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
They go inside a person?
No, but I know about it.
I think
I was in, oh my God, what's it called? Is it called Body Works? There was a Disney ride in like the 80s or the 90s where like one of those rides where you sit and then the whole thing moves around, but you're just watching the screen. What it is like you get shrunk down and like put into like somebody's body, and then but there's an accident that happens, so you have to find your way out through like the various parts of the body. Yeah, I did that.
Where do you exit?
Good question, Dan. Good question. I mean, it's Disney, so
I know. I was like, where would you exit? Would you exit back out the mouth?
Well, it's not like we went in through the mouth. I mean,
Oh, I don't know where
we were shrunk and then like put in like
an injection.
Yeah. And there were scientists in like wetsuits that were outside and like swam with us and stuff. So yeah. And there's that, and there was also Star Tours, which is like Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where we're in a space shuttle, and there's a little droid that's like driving us, and then we get attacked by whatever, and have to dodge, and yeah, that was fun too.
Talking so quietly now.
I know.
Getting
okay.
Sleepy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
anything else you wanted to talk about?
No. I just think it was funny. The whole, Eloy, Morlock, aristocracy, Aryan.
Yeah.
Divide.
Do you want to talk more about it? It's just
it kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, so, but I just wanted to repeat that it speaks for itself and it's something to be noticed.
Yeah.
And watching, but oh my God, it's so weird though, because like this was made in 1960.
Mm-hmm.
So, people knew about the Holocaust for 15 years.
Yeah.
And then they make the heroes, young, blonde, blue-eyed people, and I don't get it.
Well, it's like, Steve, what's more terrifying than the Holocaust?
Mm-hmm.
If it's not for Jews, it's for blonde-haired, blue-eyed people.
Well, I was thinking, like, we just think this is a science fiction movie.
Mm-hmm.
But if you remember the alt-right and you watch this...
Dude, I was literally thinking, like...
It comes off as a horror movie to them.
I was thinking it comes off as like a make Britain great again type movie, Just because he's so he goes into the future to like repopulate the world and spread the ideology of Britain in the 1900s.
Well, we don't know that for sure, because the feeling I get is like he's just there to, bring the knowledge back, because all that, it's like.
Well, but his perspective throughout the entire movie is how Great Britain is, except for a few things.
That's true. Like he doesn't like war, so
which is a plus. Good job, George. War is bad.
Yeah. Well, it's like you said. They don't have the Morlocks anymore, so they are going to have to start working for themselves now.
Yes.
So, the aristocracy, they're going to finally have to work for themselves.
It's true.
Before we go, we'd like to give a shout out to the bestest friends of the show on our Patreon. Thank you, Brian, for your support of the show. If you'd like to be one of our bestest friends of the show, then check out our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/yourmoviemymoviepodcast. And thanks for listening.
I'm trying to read your expression. I can't. I'm sorry. Eat the rich?
Yeah, it's not eat the rich, but it's like, imagine like these companies.
Yeah.
But if the CEOs had to do all the work.
Yeah. My favorite episode of Succession is whenever Brian Cox's character is like, "Do you know how much a gallon of milk costs, Roman?" And he's like, and then he makes Roman go to basically Disneyland and like work as a Disneyland manager in training. And Roman makes friends with an actual human being who's not a billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
But it's weird because he maybe has actual skills as leader. But whatever, that's mixed. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good show.
Well, he's not exactly starting at the bottom if he's like a manager in training.
Yeah, good point too.
Like, I would have put him in the one of the goofy costumes.
Yeah, well, that's where one of the characters starts
okay.
too. That's where Greg starts. The character Greg, the really tall actor.
Okay, they're already ahead of me then. So
yeah,
well,
but he's an interesting character because he's not rich. He actually starts that way. He's like a distant cousin.
Mm-hmm.
Who finds out his uncle owns the thing, and so he's like, "Oh wow, can I like talk to my uncle?" And his whole character arc is he's trying to become a millionaire or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
that's fine.
I like that show.
Yeah. Okay, I think we talked about the time machine for way too long now. So
yeah, let's get in a time machine and go back to the beginning of the episode. And
okay.
sorry.
You're fine.
I'm not sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I tried.
Mm-hmm. Happy New Year's, everybody.
Happy New Year's.
Bye.
Bye.